Hey everybody, Misa here again. Yesterday I intended to talk a little bit more into crit damage, but that didn't really end up happening due to the fact that the codex was glitched and I went to go use the Amprex or the Synapse as a good example, and we ended up seeing some very incorrect stats, so I ended up cutting that part. Also, I didn't like what I was going to do with it anyway, so instead we're going to be using the Acromagnus as our example. As you can see, I have 8 Forma and it is one of my favorite weapons. But today, we're going to talk about how exactly crit damage works. So you have two stats, critical chance and a critical multiplier. When you successfully land a crit, which is determined by your critical chance, your damage will be multiplied by the number you see of the critical multiplier. So for instance here, if I were to land a crit, it would be a 2.0 crit multiplier. Currently, what you're seeing is a standard damage build for a weapon. This is a build you would use to shoot things, not for crits. Let's see how it performs. Just going to simply... let's go for Ancient Healers. We'll spawn one, and we'll spawn it at have a level 50. Oops. Of course. With a raw damage build, we're not going to change the elements at all. Took a couple of shots. Let's try something a little bit tankier. Something that's going to be a little bit less of a dick. How about... why don't we try Heavy Gunner? Even with a 25% crit chance, I still crit like crazy. So that's the damage without a crit damage multiplier, if you're just looking at 2.0. But that's essentially how crits work. Let's see what happens when you actually mod this thing properly. A little bit quicker, just a tad. So that's essentially crits in a nutshell. Higher crit chance you have, the better chance you have of getting crits. Simple. Now there is one last that we have here. Now I'm going to show something that's not exactly the brightest setup for a dread, but it's a setup. Now you'll notice that instead of yellow numbers, there's red numbers. Now this is what we call, aptly named, a red crit. A red crit, or a double crit, multiplies your crit damage by 1, doubles your crit damage, then subtracts it by 1. So red crits are attained from going over 100%. Here, I am running a standard point strike and critical delay in order to get relatively constant red crits at 149%. However, there are weapons that just you don't build for crit. Such as Detron. Sitting at only a 2.5% crit chance, you cannot build this weapon for crit, no matter how much you want to. So, that covers crit. Crit's very simple, not complicated. Hey, now you know about crit.